Hello again, everyone. For this final research project presentation, I will be focusing on the psychosocial factor stress and the health condition MS, one of the most common of chronic inflammatory and neurodegenerative diseases. Multiple sclerosis, or MS, is a condition in which the immune system attacks myelin, the protective coating or sheath that encompasses nerve cells. Think of it kind of like the outer coating of a wire that we all use to either power up our computers or charge our cell phones. Even though there is speculation that MS could be caused by environmental factors or that some of us are genetically predisposed to this disease, it still remains a mystery as to why an immune system would attack healthy tissue in response to foreign invaders, even when these invaders aren't present. In the first initial signs of MS, a person may experience blurred or double vision, loss of coordination and balance, and simple things like walking, and numbness or tingling in an extremity. My mother, who has battled this disease for 15 years, first noticed a numb spot on her foot and that her balance was slightly off, which initially prompted concern that something was amiss in her body. Common symptoms of this disease include trouble walking and balance control, dizziness, muscle spasms, fatigue, and weakness. One of the biological systems involved in MS is the central nervous system, or CNS. In healthy individuals, this system is complex, highly adaptive, and finely balanced. The CNS, which consists of the brain and spinal cord, becomes diseased with MS. In the CNS, nerve cells are connected to other nerve cells via the axon, which is the long wire-like extension connecting these cells. This axon carries electrical signals through the brain and spinal cord and is protected with a myelin sheath which aids in these electrical impulses. In MS patients, it is the myelin sheath in the CNS that becomes damaged, called demyelination or MS plaques, making the conduction of these axons become faulty, which can slow or stop electrical impulses completely, leading to MS symptoms. Stress, by definition, is simply a reaction to a stimulus that disrupts the equilibrium in our mental and physical self. Stress itself is a normal part of our lives which can either help us grow and learn or cause significant health problems. From an evolutionary perspective, stress can be the difference between life and death. When individuals are stressed, it triggers a series of events in our bodies, such as the fight or flight response, causing hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline to surge through the body. A small amount of stress, called acute stress, is a natural part of the life course, but large amounts of stress, called chronic stress, can have serious repercussions on health. So how is MS and stress connected? Since the first description of MS and throughout years of research studies, it is believed that this disease somehow is connected to the biological basis of stress, and that the same systems that are impaired with MS are the same that respond to stress. Multiple sclerosis is an unpredictable, potentially debilitating disease. Because there is no known cause or cure, it is very difficult to predict long-term outcomes, especially since it affects everyone differently. The uncertainty that comes with MS challenges the coping capacity of persons afflicted. There are many different psychosocial challenges in the face of daily management of the disease that may include clinical depression, anxiety, cognitive changes, and especially grief when faced with the losses that having MS brings. The two most important psychosocial symptoms of this disease are cognition and emotion. These functions include memory, attention, speed of processing, planning, visual perceptual abilities, and word finding. Emotion regulation is another important psychosocial symptom, with depression being a common theme. Depression is linked to brain volume loss in the hippocampus, an important subregion in the brain responsible for memory, and abnormal secretion patterns of the stress-related hormone cortisol inhibits tissue loss. So I guess you could say that depression and memory loss in MS patients goes hand in hand. Through experimental research, it is believed that stress and stress-related conditions can trigger MS. Battling with the daily struggles involved in managing the onset of conditions and progression creates stress of its own, not to mention the variable symptoms and unpredicted disease course. One study conducted at the University of Pittsburgh included 50 women with MS that were followed to witness the occurrence of major life stressors in their overall MS disease activity. Within the 6-week study, these life stressors caused relapses in their MS disease progression. Even in human clinical trials, scientists have demonstrated that stress can precipitate MS relapses or flares, which can last for weeks or in some cases even months. One important aspect in keeping these relapses at bay is by making a conscious effort to keep daily stressors minimal. By limiting exposure to stressors and, equally important, modifying the response to stressful situations. By incorporating this, not only can it improve quality of life, but it can also prevent or possibly slow down the formation of new brain lesions as part of an MS relapse. Another biological system involved in MS is the immune system. It is a complex system composed of cells, proteins, tissues, and organs that protects us from germs and microorganisms and aids in the body's defense against disease, infection, and things that we encounter in the environment. In a normal immune system, when exposed to an antigen, a substance that causes the immune system to produce antibodies against it, it provokes an adaptive immune response. For some reason, with individuals with MS, the immune system attacks normally occurring antigens as if it were foreign invaders. To simplify, the body mistakenly attacks itself. Researchers have pinpointed that the target of the attack, and in most cases seems to be the myelin sheath that protects the nerve cells, but the exact antigen that causes the attack is still unknown. Scientists have uncovered a biological link between stress, anxiety, depression, and all that are related to the challenges of MS by identifying a connective mechanism in the brain. It involves the interaction between corticotropin releasing factor receptor 1 or CRFR1 and specific types of serotonin receptors or 5-HTRs. Studies have demonstrated that the CRFR1 works to increase the number of 5-HTRs on cell surfaces in the brain, causing abnormal brain signaling. Because the CRFR1 leads to anxiety in response to stressors, while 5-HTRs leads to depression, the study concluded that stress, anxiety, and depression all connect through a specific pathway in the brain. So what does this mean? Stressful experiences are strongly linked to the symptoms of anxiety and depression, and the more stressed a person is with MS, the more they will suffer the mental and physical repercussions from the stressful experience, not only from relapses coinciding with the immune system, but from abnormal brain signaling in response to stress. Aging throughout the life course does play a significant role in those afflicted with MS. Not only do aging individuals have to learn how to deal with the biological, mental, and physical changes that aging brings, but they also must adapt to the changes their bodies experience in regards to MS progression. These related changes can be perplexing and difficult to manage, especially with the stressor that comes with managing other chronic conditions that aging can bring that may affect mobility while experiencing disease progression. Because a growing number of individuals are diagnosed with MS every year, with about half of those being 55 and older, it seems as though aging and MS are related. Many of the health issues that older adults experience with age, such as fatigue, sleep patterns, diet, and overall general well-being, can also be caused by MS. So the takeaway message is, it's a challenge living with MS and a greater challenge growing old with MS. Thus, more research is needed in order to find answers to the growing confusion surrounding attitudes, fears, and health issues of older people who struggle with MS. Thank you, and I look forward to your comments and suggestions.